Even though Darien was not destined to be a sage, he agreed to help us fight. As Tuxedo Mask, my duty is to protect my allies, the Sailor Scouts, he said. I've not backed down before, and I'm not about to start. Okay then, said Link. It's time to begin our quest for justice and truth. Watch out, Ganon. I found my allies, and we're gonna stop you yet. Over the next few days. The girls and Darien met Link at the Temple of Time every day after school to learn about their newfound powers as what they called themselves, Super Sailor Scouts. They could still use their regular sailor powers, only now they'd be even stronger and more powerful than before. However, when they transformed, they also had to shout out their sage elements, as well as their respective planets. Using their new weapons was not an easy task. Super Sailor Moon, Sage of Shadow, Hover Boots, Tiara Disc, and Shadow Attacks, dark ghost-like maneuvers. Super Sailor Jupiter, Sage of Forest, Fairy Bow, Pharaoh's Wind, Jupiter Thunder, and Grass Attacks, Razor Leaf, Vine Whip, that sort of stuff. Super Sailor Mars, Sage of Fire, Din's Fire, Fire Arrows, Megaton Hammer, Mars Fire and Fireball Charms, and Heat Resistance. She can withstand hot places and won't catch on fire. Super Sailor Mercury, Sage of Water, Nehru's Love, Ice Arrows, Iron Boots, Mercury Bubbles, and she is aquatic. She can breathe underwater. Super Sailor Venus, Sage of Spirit, Silver Gauntlets, Mirror Force, Venus Crescent Beam, and Spirit Sandstorm. She can create a powerful and violent sandy mist to cover up things like a fog. Tuxedo Mask. Since he was not a sage, Link gave him 2 new weapons he could use. His Deku Nuts, which could stun his opponents just like his roses, and the Bigoron Sword, too heavy to hold with just one hand, but stronger than his cane. Link was a great teacher to them all, and generous in giving them copies of his weapons for them to use. In fact, they felt so grateful to him that instead of referring to him as just Link, they preferred to call him Master! It took some time, but eventually they got the hang of everything. Even Super Sailor Moon did, though she hated the dark. Well, that's settled, said Mina. So, where do we do first, Master? We start by searching the 5 temples, said Link. Unfortunately, I don't know where they are, as they could be anywhere in Tokyo, but they will show up sometime. Right, said Ertamus. So the best we can do in the meantime is watch out for any more of Ganondorf's monsters if they attack again. Remember, they're after energy too. Exactly right, said Link. Ganondorf may not have my Triforce of Courage, and hopefully he won't ever, but the energy he gathers can still make him more powerful, and he's strong enough already, so we can't let that happen. Any questions? Ray raised her hand. Master! Suppose we do find the 5 temples and venture inside of them. What exactly are they going to be like inside? Many strange things, said Link. Miles of twisting and confusing corridors and hallways, complex puzzles to solve, unpredictable doors to find the key for an unlock, unexpected atmospheric conditions, booby traps waiting around every corner, monsters popping up out of nowhere, things like that. Lita nodded in understanding with what he was trying to say. Okay, so, the scariest environments imaginable, she said. Thanks, that's all you had to say. The scariest environments imaginable. Oh yes, and there's one more thing, and this is of critical importance, said Link. All 5 of the temples have atmospheric conditions. The Forest Temple was as damp as the Amazon. The Fire Temple's temperature was over hundreds of degrees. The Water Temple had places where you'd just stay underwater for a long time. The Shadow Temple is so dark that the air is practically poisonous. And the Spirit Temple's air had hot sand dripping down and blowing about. I can survive all the atmospheres on my own, but this is where it'll get tricky, said Link. If we find any of the temples and the corresponding Sailor Scout, will accompany me to the temple. Hello. The Scouts were uncool with that. Usually they all fought together, but Link told them that these atmospheres were so dangerous that all others wouldn't even be able to get past the entrances without feeling weak. So Link passed each of them a handmade drawing of the entrances to the temple and marked each of them with boundary lines he called Zero Barrier, which meant all non-atmospheric resistors could cross the line. Because if they did, they could get trapped in the temple and the monsters wouldn't have to finish them off because the atmosphere would do it for them! Man, talk about a freaky adventure, said Darien. With all that settled, their journey for Ganondorf now began. Link also told them that there was a way for them to all hang out together during the daytime without having to come back to the Temple of Time. Link was a high school graduate and the owner, manager, and landlord of a special place called the Karaoke Cafe. A cafe like a normal burger shop with sweet stuff too. Serena felt like she was in heaven! But the best part of all was the stage. There was a piano, bass guitars, horns, a drum set, pretty much your average band stuff. After all, it wouldn't be the Karaoke Cafe without karaoke. Link had offered to give the girls and Darien a job as waitresses, waiters, and if no one had booked the stage every often, they could get up there and perform a song. The girls didn't know what to think. Sure, Ray had some singing talents, but she and the others have never played an instrument in their lives. But that was where it got interesting. Link told them that since he himself could only play the ocarina song he knew, he put a special spell on the instruments. It didn't matter what hit you note, as long as you hit it at the right time, it would always be correct. Not to mention he could also use another spell to give them great voices for any type of music, and no one would be able to figure out it was all done with magic. When Link promised to pay the girls, they couldn't say no, and besides, Darien's boss called and said that the accident was over at the other cafe, but he was also having the place cleaned, fumigated, the works. The cafe would be closed for at least 6 months, and Darien was on unpaid vacation, and he needed a new job until then, so he agreed to help. Amy thought this would be a chance to do something nice for people while she worked her way up to doctor school. She already had lots of studies and smarts for it. Why, her mom even gave her her very own medical bag, while basic tools she could use in case someone needed help on the street. All she needed was cash, and lots of it, so she was in. The rest of the girls just wanted in for a quick way to get shopping money, and even meet some hunky dudes. Link was actually starting to feel more like he had a friends again. They were not just pupils to him. For 10,000 years he had been alone, and now it was all starting to look good. Then this happened.
Everyone died! The end.
Burger King.